Dr. Nora Winters, a renowned archaeologist, arrived in the remote Sahara Desert with a singular purpose: to uncover the lost Temple of Al-Sahar, an ancient structure rumored to house secrets of a forgotten civilization. Armed with old maps and academic determination, she prepared for the challenge of a lifetime. Her guide, Rafiq Hassan, was a desert native with an intimate knowledge of the shifting sands. Rafiq was wary of outsiders, especially scholars who treated the desert like a puzzle to be solved, but agreed to take Nora on her expedition. "You're not like the others, are you?" Rafiq asked as they set off on camelback. Nora raised an eyebrow. "I don't know what you mean. You look at the desert like it's alive," Rafiq said. "Most just see emptiness." Nora smiled. "Maybe because it feels like it's trying to tell me something." Days into their journey, they reached the coordinates marked on Nora's map. The area seemed unremarkable, endless dunes under an unforgiving sun. But as Nora examined the terrain, she noticed faint carvings on a nearby rock formation, half buried in sand. "This is it," she murmured, tracing the symbols with her fingers. Rafiq watched her work with quiet curiosity. "You can read those?" "Not yet," she admitted, pulling out her notebook. "But they're a warning. Something about guarding the truth of Al-Sahar." As they began to dig, a sandstorm swept through without warning, forcing them to take cover. Inside their tent, the wind howled like voices, carrying strange whispers. Rafiq glanced at Nora. "You hear that?" She nodded, her eyes wide. "It's like the desert is speaking." The next day, the storm uncovered an entrance beneath the sands. A narrow stone staircase led them underground, where they found a sprawling chamber filled with carvings, artifacts, and murals depicting a civilization long forgotten. Nora was in awe. "This is it, the Temple of Al-Sahar." Rafiq stayed close, his instincts on high alert. "Be careful. Places like this don't stay hidden without reason." As they explored, they uncovered a central altar adorned with a large gemstone, glowing faintly in the dim light. Around it, inscriptions warned of an ancient curse, but Nora couldn't resist examining the artifact. Before she could touch it, Rafiq stopped her. "Don't. The desert doesn't give up its secrets without a price." Nora hesitated, his words sinking in. "You really believe that?" "I've seen it before," he said. "People who take what isn't theirs rarely make it back." That night, back at their camp, Nora and Rafiq shared stories beneath the stars. Nora spoke of her parents, both historians who had instilled in her a love for ancient mysteries. Rafiq opened up about his own past, how his family had lived in the desert for generations, respecting its power and learning its ways. "The desert isn't just sand," he said. "It's alive. It remembers." Their conversation lingered on the line between respect and curiosity, and for the first time, Nora saw the world through Rafiq's eyes. "Maybe you're right," she admitted softly. "Maybe the answers aren't meant to be taken. Maybe they're meant to be understood." Rafiq smiled, a warmth in his gaze she hadn't noticed before. "You're different, Nora. You listen." The next day, they returned to the chamber, determined to document its secrets without disturbing the artifact. As Nora sketched the murals, Rafiq noticed a hidden mechanism in the wall. When he pressed it, a hidden passage opened, revealing another chamber filled with gold and jewels. Nora gasped. This must have been the royal treasury. But as they stepped closer, the room trembled, and sand began pouring in from hidden vents. "Run," Rafiq shouted, grabbing Nora's hand. They sprinted back toward the entrance as the temple began collapsing around them. Just as they reached the staircase, Nora tripped, and Rafiq turned back without hesitation, pulling her to safety. When they emerged into the sunlight, breathless and covered in sand, they looked back to see the temple buried once more. As they packed up their camp, Nora sat quietly, staring at her notes. "We found it, but it's gone. No one will ever believe me." Rafiq crouched beside her. "You don't need them to believe you. You know the truth, and you respected it. That's what matters." She looked at him, gratitude and something deeper shining in her eyes. "Thank you for saving me, for everything." Rafiq smiled. "You're not so bad for an outsider." Their journey back to civilization was slower, filled with stolen glances and quiet conversations. By the time they reached the edge of the desert, Nora knew she couldn't just walk away. "Come with me," she said. "There's so much more we could uncover together." Rafiq hesitated, then took her hand. "Only if you promise to listen to the whispers." Nora smiled. "Always." Together they left the desert, carrying its secrets and their budding love with them.